Welcome guys to another huge off-grid setup. This one on a Crusader Excalibur. Brand spanking new, showroom fresh this one. So these guys did hit us up a while back for this off-grid setup to be able to run their air conditioning, air fryer, induction cooker, microwave, all off-grid, all from batteries and solar. And we've been able to size up a pretty good system, as you can see here, which we're going to run through with some specs on it. Now, there's a lot of energy here. So there are 3 power pole Scouts, guys. So that's over 10 kilowatt hours of energy storage right here. Very small footprint here. It's only about 600 mil long by 365 deep, 220 high. So a lot of energy compressed into that little small space. Very cool. Paul does a great batteries with his quality there and his build process. He's doing a great job. So keep it up, mate. Anyway, so over 10 kilowatt hours of storage here in the form of lithium. We have managed to squeeze a pretty good amount of solar. It was a bit of a bugger. We initially thought we could get more, but then as we're starting to put the panels on the roof, we realized that the gaps were just too close for shading issues. It didn't sit. We could have fitted the number, which I'm going to give you in a minute. We could have done it, but there'd be no point to it because of the shade issue. And it was like, for an hour of the day, we might have got the power out of the panel, which we would like, but it wasn't worth it. And that's why we kind of chop and change it on site. We don't just sort of, be done with it. We always change it on site based on all these issues, shade and what's happening on the roof, because every van's different. So we've done, what do we got? So we've got 4, so we've got, what have we got? 1, 2, 3, let's count for a minute then. So we've got 800 watts in the form of 200 watt modules, and we've gone for 3 150s. So what's that, 1250? So 1250 watts, guys, of solar on the roof of this. And it's doing a great job. I'm like 11:30, quarter to 12, and I just hit nearly 1100 watts. And what are we in now? We are at the end of March. We're like, it's Easter next weekend. So to get that this time of the year and consistently is very good. So nearly 1100 watts, very happy there. So 1250 watts on the roof, guys. So that's in the form of the Victron smart solar controllers, as you can see over here. So the 150s. We've done the Redarc Bcdc1250d DC charger because old mate's got a 200 series cruiser that'll plug in and that'll feed from the alternator to pump in 50 amps on top of the solar. So that's combined solar and vehicle charging. It will not prioritize. Servo with the touchscreen for control of all of this product that you see down here. Victron Multi 12 3120 amp inverter charger. You guys see me do lots of these, and these are the go-to. Inverter charger, meaning when these guys plug into mains, this will fast charge these batteries, bring them up to spec, drop back into storage mode. So it's fast, quick charging with full programmability of the input into this charger. So if they don't want to pull so much energy from said generator, they can back off the current limit to allow said generator to not kick out or bog down and run too hard. They can bring back that current limit, and that's what the Multi Plus can do. It's very, very capable inverter charger. So this has the CES system. So this is a factory overlay. So all of this stuff, if factory integrates into this, we don't touch anything to do with the factory. This actually just interfaces into the factory system. So it can be removed at any time. And in all fact, it'll probably take me an hour to remove this and revert it back to factory. So that's why we keep the factory board in place. Because of that, it adds to your resale value. I mean, that's nearly 10 grand worth of stuff just kind of kicking around here. So why wouldn't you, if you wrote your van off or sold it, you could pull it out and, hey, fit it to your new van or on-sell it, or even sell it with the van if you're going to recoup your costs. It's not the point. The point is it's a redundancy thing. To be able to not, gut all this completely and do it again, it just adds to the flavor, which I love doing. So this has the factory Bmpro system in it. Right, so the Bmpro HA series, you guys might be familiar with them. A lot of the new vans come out with them. It's basically got Anderson plug that runs through it. It's also got the solar input that runs in it, and it just plugs in the mains. Now, when we put in such a large system like this in, the numbers that I'm dealing with are much larger than what that can handle. So that means we disable all the charging done by the Bmpro. So no more solar goes through the solar inputs. No more DC charger or Anderson plug going through the auxiliary in it, so no more vehicle charging through the Bmpro. And we just unplug it from mains and we just stash the plug. So 3 charge methods do not go through the Bmpro anymore. It's taken care of by all of this product here. So big mains charger, this is a 120 amp charger. The Bmpro is like, what, 30, 35 amps. The solar charger here, well, there's 100 amps of charging. All right, the solar on the Bmpro, I think, would be like 25 amps at best, maybe 30. The DC charger, you know, it's a 50 amp DC charger. So there's 50 amps of vehicle charging coming through that. We've also done the side solar input on this DC charger down the driver's side. So he's able to plug in a portable panel should he want to add to the, you know, 1250 watts that are on the roof. If he needs to, if he parks in the shade, it's there. It's ready to go for easy use. This has an electric jack on the drawbar. So we've done a circuit in for old mate for that one. That's all on MIDI fuses down here, which we'll get into shortly. It's simple, it works, it's all laid out very easy to see. There's a label on every fuse, you can't go wrong. Massive cable, like, you know, that's 95 cable, and we've got really short runs. We've got half a meter backwards and forwards. So when you do a job like this, the idea is to keep all of your chargers, you know, big current devices within vicinity of these terminals or a bus bar system. And the reason you do that is we're dealing with 12 volts. So being such a low voltage and high current, the trade-off is you want to make sure those voltage drops are at a minimum, and you can run said load for however long. Plus you get your charge efficiencies through here, and we can do that. People talk about 12 volt versus 24 and 48. The pros and cons, well, pretty much the pros of this. 12 volt, you don't need any other converters. You can charge from any vehicle, it doesn't matter what you do, you don't have to have any converters in. It runs on its own. You don't have to change anything, and that's great. The drawbacks are, we've got a rule, we don't like to go over 3000 VA for a 12 volt system. If we do, we jump into 24 and 48. Is the cable. The cable has to be thick enough to handle the current, which is why we do it like this. When you go to 24, the cable size can obviously half. You go to 48, you halve it again. So, you know, if I'm running, call it a 100mm cable to this inverter, if I'm running at 48 volt, that could go down to 25mm cable. You do the math. 50mm cable for, you know, the same size inverter at 24 volt. So there are pros and cons to it. The other one that's not spoken about a lot is solar. So when you've got a 12 volt system, it is much easier and more versatile with your solar on your roof. And that is because you get a choice of both parallel and series. You can do both because the charge controller takes care of it. You need to be generally around about 5 volts or thereabouts above your battery voltage. So call it 14 volts, 13 volts that you need to get these batteries to. Well, the solar panels would need to be 5 volts above that in order to start charging. Well, when you've got a 24 volt system, if you were to just connect your standard, you know, 20 odd volt panel, even a 22 volt open circuit panel, it won't charge a 24 volt battery. And that is because the voltage of that panel is not above that 5 volt mark above the 24 volt battery. So it'd have to be in the 32 volt range, which it's not. So you must series two panels together to get you to that 39, 40 volts. So that will charge a 24 volt battery. So in other words, it limits you with what you can do with solar on the roof. Now, I'll give you an example of this. If I've got a huge shading issue, like an air conditioner or antenna, and I have no choice but to put 2 solar panels there, well, if you were to put them in parallel, then they'll run independently and work. Happy days, that'll work fine. 12 volt. But if you go to a 24 volt system, I can't keep them separately anymore. I must tie them together or tie it with another panel, you see? And that leads me to the other one. You have to go 2 in series or 3 in series or 4 and just get the, you know, appropriate size solar controllers. That dives into 48 volt. Now that's the problem. So with 48 volt, most caravans, and I say most caravans, guys, because it's my customers out there, you've got hatches, you know, air conditioners, antennas, dust suppression systems, the list goes on. All of these products on the roof create shade. Now when you've got a 48 volt system, you now have to have about 3 panels, even 3 is probably bare minimum. Like we're talking, what are you going to be, sort of 50 odd, 54 volts, somewhere around there. Well, 3 in series would be 60 volts. So it's only on the cusp of being able to start charging. It would probably be better to go 4 in series. That'd be around the sort of 85, 80 volts there. 4 in series would work, but you see the problem now is if you were to put 4 panels in series on the roof, the chances of one of those getting shade are quite high. There are some products out there now, like a little DC to DC converter. They're kind of hit and miss. I'm not 100% convinced yet. I don't think there's been enough time or there's been enough around for us to see the actual results over time to see how they work. It's just another product to add, you know. So, but you see where I'm going with this. There are pros and cons of it. So at the nitty gritty of it, when you start looking at that, the gauge of cable, yeah, that's true. You're using quarter of the gauge of cable, 48 compared to 12. But there are the other issues. You know, now you need a converter. How are we going to charge from the vehicle? Well, there are seldom chargers on the market to be able to charge from 12 volt to 48. You know, there's very minimal amount of products. But at 24 volt and at 12 volt, there are more products out there. You gain a lot more efficiency by doing that. So my rules are simple, guys, and you know, this is going to get bought up quite a fair bit. At 12 volt, up to 3000 VA, so a big inverter like this, happy days. Do it every day. You will not run into any issues. The price is right. You don't have to add any converters. Beyond the 3000 VA mark, so if you put a 5000 VA inverter in, I would probably go to 24 volt. Probably, more than likely, definitely, or 48, depending on the structure. If it's a big bus, 48. You've got a lot of roof space with no shading issues. Or 24 volt. It's neither here or there. It'd probably be better at 48, as long as you can keep the shade down. Then you won't have any drama. Or fit house panels. I mean, geez, most buses that are of large size, you can fit house panels. People always say to me, Matt, why don't you use house panels? Well, take a photo of any caravan out there. I can guarantee you, if you can get 3 house panels on a standard caravan, all for it, do it, all right? But the majority you can't. I've always got a dog leg panels around air conditioners, vents, hatches, wine guard antennas, satellites, dust suppression system, the list goes on. My point is, it's a game of Tetris. When I've got lots of different size panels, I can work with it better. And the panels are around 20 volts, so I can string them up accordingly based on shade. I'm not limited. I can put them in parallel if I need to. So that's why 12 volt at 3000 VA is my go-to. Do heaps of them. Enough of the tech talk. Okay, let's get into some details of what's going on here. So, like I said, the Redarc Bcdc1250 for vehicle charging and a side solar input. 100 amps of solar charging here, taken care of by the two 50 amp Victron smart solar controllers. Got the cerboGX with the Touch 50 to control all of these products. Victron 12120 amp multi-plus inverter charger running on all of the factory outlets, including the air conditioner, microwave, the outside one, all of the GPOs, washing machine, whatever you want. Run a hairdryer, everything. The fusing system down here, so we've got a smart shunt as well, and we've gone for the LMI Busman MIDI fuses. There are 6 of them down here, taking care of all the loads and charges. Massive, massive cable. And it is factory integrated into the Bmpro system, so we make that redundant so it doesn't work, but it can be reverted back to factory if needed. We've also done a WiTi alarm system on these setup for these guys with intrusion detection. So if they're asleep at night, they can just hit that button and their alarm system's on. As soon as you open that door or enter in this van or anyway, or knock it really hard, the alarm's going to go off, you know, sound the siren or the horn, flash the lights and grab those brakes so you can't pinch it. Very cool little feature. We've also done the electric jack. These guys have an electric jack, so we've put in a circuit for them to be able to run that without compromise. It's on an Anderson plug, so they can unplug it and run a compressor from that, or a transfer pump should they wish to do that. There we go, guys. I'll take you up to the screen. I'll grab you now. I've got this AC running, and we'll see what we can get. And I did hit, like I said, nearly 1100 watts, so I'll grab you. Let's go and have a look and see what's going on in this room. Love this van too. It's a nice layout. It's quite roomy. It's got the separate, you know, it's got the center ensuite. So there's the touchscreen. Yeah, we're overcast, but the sun's kind of coming in and out. Here's the touchscreen. You guys have seen them 100 times. And all the controllers here. So there's the AC mode. So we're on at the moment. We're off grid, so I could be on inverter only if we wanted to. So we're not plugged into the grid. So inverter only, it'll ignore the AC input and just run inverter only. It doesn't look for any incoming power, but when it's in the on position, it's automatic. So it's looking for AC input. So if you're going to plug a generator in, or if you want to run this in backup mode, so if the power goes out, it'll flick over to batteries automatically, you would run it on AC on. Charger only is charger only when you're plugged into a caravan park or the grid, and it'll run in charger only, meaning power has to come in for you to get power out, and it obviously just turns the inverter charger into a charger. And then there's the AC current limit, so you throttle this down according to what you plug into. So we're at a home here on a 10 amp supply, so I would set that for 10. So that means the most this system is going to pull out of the, you know, plug on the side of your van is 10 amps. It's a good thing to do. Now if I had a little Honda generator like a Honda 2, probably set it for about 8 amps and I'll go down. Now obviously you would put this to the on mode. So if I were to plug a generator in right now, it will only pull 8 amps from the generator to stop it from clipping off. Now, like I said, I run a Honda 1, so I'd probably even go all the way down to like 4 or something like that. And it will only pull 4.5 amps from the side input. Even if you're on main, if you're on a 15 amp supply and you set it for 4.5, it'll only pull 4.5 from that side input because you've told it to. Very cool. We're getting some sun now, which is good. We've got 1120. You remember, guys, flat mounted solar panels, you know, we'll be approaching 12 o'clock now. Pretty cool, isn't it? Just to explain what's happening right now, your AC loads are in the top right hand corner, so that's this Ibis 4 running. The PV charge is putting in over 1100 watts. And the bottom left there, you can see the battery state of charge is at 99%, but take note of the current and the wattage. That's what's going into the battery, guys. In other words, we are charging right now, on top of running this air conditioner on 16, and I'll show you, it's on 16, I'll turn you around, so 16, 3 fan, back down we go. The numbers here, you can't hide from the numbers tell the story. That's why we have good quality battery monitoring and good quality products, so we're able to see what is happening at all times, and also logs history, so it's even better. It's a really cool setup. So to have this much energy on the roof, you know, 1250 watts, because these guys want to be able to run their air conditioner during the day without worrying about power. Well, they can do that, all right, with this amount of energy and this amount of battery storage, and, you know, replenishment from the vehicle. Well, geez, that's coming in on top of that. So you can imagine if it's a really good sunny day and they wanted to run their air conditioner while they're driving. Well, the solar alone's enough to keep up with it. We haven't even spoken about their DC charger coming from the vehicle yet. There's another 50 coming in, so another 600 plus watts is going to fly in from the vehicle on top of that. So in other words, you know, I'm pumping in, well, the number's there, I'm pumping in 32 amps now, so another 50 would come in on top of that, on top of running the air conditioner. Crazy. And this has a Swift hot water service too. So old mate has asked us to put that from the inverter as well. So as a backup, these guys can heat their hot water system up without any dramas, and that'll add about 1,000 watt load to the system. So if you wanted to offset some of your energy because your batteries are full, turn your gas off, dump the energy into your water, and away you go. It's about transferring energy from one place to another. If your batteries are full and it's 10 o'clock in the morning, turn your gas off on your hot water system on this setup and transfer it over to electric. This is a Swift hot water service, so it's about 1,000 watt element. So these guys have the potential for just the solar to keep up with the hot water service during the day. So that not only are these guys going to be able to manage their energy usage, but they're not going to use as much gas. Now these guys have a 3-way fridge, so that's their priority. So when they're off grid, that'll be running on gas. And if they run out of gas, well, they'll just flick it over to mains power. That's the other fail-safe mechanism we've installed for these guys because they've asked for it. The GPO that runs the 3-way fridge, because it is an automatic fridge, has the potential to run from the inverter only because the customer has requested it and he understands the system. So what that means is when that GPO down in this cupboard, it's all the way back there, right? When he turns that on, he leaves it off, okay? When he turns it on and the fridge is in auto mode, it'll automatically sense the inverter's running. So it'll instantly change over. Now that's a 375 watt element, this fridge. So you're going to see another 375 watts being drawn, but I don't know if you just saw the numbers there. We've got a lot of solar. So, you know, even if you had to drive for 4 hours to fill up gas, 4 times 375, you're not using a lot of energy. When you've got a system this size, it opens the door to be able to pretty much delete gas and run it as a backup kind of thing only. You still have to manage your energy, of course. It's not infinite. Nothing ever is. Even if you had, you know, 6 of these battery setups like this, you know, 60 kilowatt hours, it's still not infinite. It is a battery bank of a certain size. Everyone's got different sizes. Everyone's got different amounts of solar on the roof. Everyone's got different vehicle charges. The difference between it is how you manage your power, which is why we fit these touchscreens. So you can see what's left in your battery just by looking at a picture. So, I mean, the sun's disappeared. So right now, that's on the fly. So we're only using 15 amps and we're putting in 460 watts because the air conditioner's ramped on. I can hear it. So, you know, now we're using energy, but we're only using 200 watts. Well, if I've got, you know, 10 kilowatt hours, I'm only using 200. You can do some quick maths. It's going to last a long time, even if it was an overcast day. And that's the advantage of having a really large battery bank, is to be able to run the air conditioner for long periods of time. It buys you time. It's almost like having a long range tank in your diesel. It's going to last you longer in between when you fill up. Same deal with a big battery bank. It just lasts longer in between the times that you fill up. There we go, guys. You guys have seen my other videos. I'm not going to turn the microwave on, but I'll show it's on here now, so that's all ready to go. You know, we could even start that up. I don't have any water on at the moment. It is a brand new van. This has the washing machine in it, so that's all ready to go as well. So the washing machine will run from the inverter, and pretty much this is limited to water now. These guys will be looking at their water. Ice machine, how cool is that? They'll be able to run this too. So they'll keep the inverter on, they'll keep the ice machine going. How good is that? So no waiting for the ice to cool down in the freezer. You just turn on the ice maker and you got unlimited ice. Really cool to be able to produce ice on the road. It's amazing. So yeah, just limited to water, guys. Hope you like that setup. We do lots of these. You guys have seen all my other videos. If you've got any questions, hit us up. We usually sort of a week out to reply because we get inundated with a lot of messages, but I do get back to everyone. And if I don't, just reflick the email again. It might have gone to a spam box or something. But either way, this is a Crusader Excalibur, a brand new van with a monster setup. Very happy to get this set up for these guys. So thanks for watching.